Hello friends. What if I told you that the biggest difference between a trader who blows up account after account and a trader who achieves consistent success has nothing to do with strategy, indicators, or market knowledge? Every day, thousands of traders enter the market believing they are only one winning trade away from success. They study charts for hours, chase the perfect setup, and search endlessly for certainty. But then fear takes over. Greed takes over. Ego takes over. And before they realize it, they are fighting the same battle again and again. The painful truth is that the market is not testing your intelligence. It is testing your psychology. It is exposing your fears, your weaknesses, and your need to be right. This is not about the market. This is about you. In this video, you will discover the 5 psychological levels every trader must pass through on the journey from emotional chaos to true trading mastery. You will learn why most traders get stuck, what separates professionals from amateurs, and how your relationship with losses, uncertainty, and probability determines your success more than any trading strategy ever could. By the end of this video, you may realize that the trader standing between you and consistent profitability has been staring back at you in the mirror all along. Level 1. You think the market needs to agree with you. Let me tell you something that most traders never want to hear. The moment you place your very first trade, you do not enter a battle against the market. You enter a battle against your own ego. But at level 1, you don't know that yet. You believe success is simply a matter of being smart enough. You think if you study hard enough, analyze enough charts, and consume enough information, the market will eventually reward you for your intelligence. And for a while, that belief feels true. You catch a few winning trades, your account grows, confidence turns into certainty, certainty turns into pride, and pride quietly turns into danger. Suddenly, every trade becomes a prediction. Every prediction becomes a personal statement. And every loss feels like an insult. When the market moves against you, you don't see information. You see rejection. You hear a voice inside your head saying, "This can't be happening. I'm right." So you hold the trade longer. You move your stop loss, you add more money, you refuse to admit defeat because admitting defeat feels like admitting weakness. Understand this. At level 1, your goal is not to make money, even if you think it is. Your real goal is to prove that you are right. That is why losses hurt so much. It is not the money, it is the damage to your identity. You want the market to validate you. You want it to tell you that your analysis was brilliant. You want it to confirm that you are smarter than everyone else. But the market does not care. It does not care about your opinions. It does not care about your predictions. It does not care how much effort you put into your analysis. The market only moves, and when reality refuses to match your expectations, frustration begins to grow. You start saying things like, "This market makes no sense. The market is manipulated. My timing was just bad." Anything except the truth. Because the truth is uncomfortable. The truth is that the market is not here to reward your intelligence. It is here to expose your emotional weaknesses. It shows you your need to be right. It shows you your attachment to outcomes. It shows you your inability to accept uncertainty. And most traders never make it past this stage because their ego keeps getting in the way. They continue searching for better indicators, better systems, and better predictions while ignoring the real problem staring back at them in the mirror. This is where the journey begins. This is where the illusion starts to crack. Because sooner or later, every trader reaches a moment when intelligence is no longer enough. A moment when the market delivers a lesson that no chart can teach. And when that moment arrives, you will be forced to discover something that changes everything. Level 2, you learn the rules, but your emotions still win. After the market humbles your ego enough times, something changes. You begin to realize that intelligence alone is not enough. You start reading books. You study risk management. You learn about position sizing, discipline, patience, and emotional control. For the first time, you understand what successful traders have been saying all along. You tell yourself, "I get it now," but then the market opens, and suddenly everything you learn begins to disappear. Because knowing the rules and following the rules are two completely different things. At level 2, you become trapped between knowledge and behavior. You know what you should do, but you don't do it consistently. You know where your stop loss belongs, but you move it. You know you should let winners run, but you take profits too early. You know revenge trading is dangerous, but after a painful loss, you jump right back into the market looking for redemption. The battle is no longer between you and the market. The battle is now between your logic and your emotions. And emotions are winning. Every trading day becomes a psychological tug of war. You enter a trade with confidence, but the moment the position moves against you, fear begins whispering in your ear. Get out now. Protect what you have left. Then, when the trade starts moving in your favor, greed takes over. Maybe this will be the big one. Maybe you should risk more. Maybe the rules don't apply this time. Understand this. Most traders at level 2 are not lacking knowledge. They are drowning in knowledge. Their problem is execution. They have watched the videos. They have read the books. They can explain discipline perfectly to someone else. Yet when real money is at risk, emotions become stronger than logic. Why? Because every trade feels personal. Every win feels like validation. Every loss feels like failure. The emotional charge is still there. The outcome still controls your state of mind. A winning day makes you feel powerful. A losing day makes you question everything. And that emotional roller coaster keeps you trapped. Let me tell you something. The market does not care what you know. The market only responds to what you do. You can have the perfect trading plan, but if fear changes your decisions, the plan becomes worthless. You can have an incredible edge, but if greed causes you to break your rules, the edge disappears. This is why so many traders stay stuck at this level for years. They keep searching for a better strategy when the real problem is emotional consistency. They keep trying to fix the market when they need to fix themselves. But eventually, if you stay in the game long enough, a deeper realization begins to emerge. You start noticing that even your best trades can lose. You start seeing that certainty does not exist. And for the first time, you begin to glimpse a truth that has the power to change everything. Trading is not about being right. Trading is about thinking in probabilities. And that realization leads directly to the next level. Level 3, you understand probability, but you don't trust it yet. There comes a moment in every trader's journey when the illusion of certainty finally begins to die. Not completely, not all at once, but little by little, the market forces you to see something that your ego fought against for years. You start realizing that even the best setups can fail. Even perfect analysis can be wrong. Even experienced traders lose money on individual trades. And for the first time, you begin to understand the concept that separates amateurs from professionals. Probability. At level 3, you stop asking, will this trade work? And start asking, what are the odds? This is a massive shift, a life-changing shift, because now you understand that trading is not about predicting the future. It is about managing uncertainty. You know your edge does not need to win every time. You know that a series of losses does not automatically mean your strategy is broken. Intellectually, you understand all of this. The problem is that your emotions haven't fully caught up yet. Deep down, you still crave certainty. Deep down, you still feel uncomfortable when the outcome is unknown. So even though you understand probability, you don't fully trust it. You hesitate before entering valid setups. You second guess your rules. You skip trades because the last few losses are still fresh in your mind. Then, of course, the trade you skip becomes a winner. And suddenly frustration returns. You tell yourself, I knew I should have taken it. Then the next time you force a trade just to avoid missing out again. This is a strange trap of level 3. You know what the truth is, but you haven't emotionally accepted it. You know each trade is just one event in a long series. Yet every trade still feels bigger than it really is. Every loss still carries emotional weight. Every winning streak still creates excitement. You are caught between two worlds. One foot is in discipline. The other is still trapped in emotional reaction. Let me tell you something important. Consistency is not built when you understand probability. Consistency is built when you trust probability. There is a difference. Understanding is intellectual. Trust is emotional. Understanding says, this setup has an edge. Trust says, I will take this setup whether the last 3 trades won or lost. Understanding says, losses are normal. Trust says, I can experience a loss without feeling threatened. This is where most traders get stuck. They know the concepts. They can explain them perfectly. But when real money is on the line, fear quietly returns. Fear of being wrong. Fear of losing. Fear of uncertainty. And that fear keeps them from fully committing to their process. But eventually, after enough experience, after enough wins and losses, after enough evidence, something begins to change. You start seeing losses differently. You stop treating them like enemies. You stop fighting them. And when that happens, you enter a level that very few traders ever truly reach. A level where losses no longer control your emotions. And the market finally loses its power over your mind. Level 4. You finally stop fighting your losses. This is where everything begins to change. Not because the market changes, not because your strategy suddenly becomes perfect, not because losses disappear. The transformation happens because you stop fighting reality. At level 4, something breaks inside you, but in the best possible way. The endless struggle to avoid losses starts to fade. The emotional resistance that once consumed your mind begins to loosen its grip. You finally understand a truth that most traders spend years trying to avoid. Losses are not the problem. The fear of losses is the problem. For years, every losing trade felt like a threat to your confidence, a threat to your account, a threat to your identity. You reacted to losses as if something had gone wrong, as if the market had betrayed you, as if every losing trade was evidence that you were failing. But now you see it differently. You realize that a loss is simply the cost of doing business. Nothing more, nothing less. Just as a store owner pays rent, or an airline pays for fuel, a trader pays for information through losses. And the moment you truly accept that, something incredible happens. The market stops controlling your emotions, you take a loss, and instead of anger, there is acceptance. Instead of panic, there is calm. Instead of self-doubt, there is understanding. You no longer feel the need to defend yourself against every unfavorable outcome. You no longer move your stop loss hoping the market will save you. You no longer sit frozen in a losing trade, praying for a miracle. You simply accept the outcome and move on. Understand this. Acceptance is not weakness. Acceptance is power. Because the moment you stop arguing with reality, you free up enormous mental energy. Energy that was once wasted on frustration, fear, and regret can now be directed toward execution, toward discipline, toward consistency. This is where trading starts to feel different. The emotional highs become smaller. The emotional lows become smaller. You begin to operate from a place of stability rather than reaction. A winning trade no longer makes you feel invincible. A losing trade no longer makes you feel broken. You are starting to see trades for what they really are. Individual outcomes in a long series of probabilities. Let me tell you something. This level is rare, very rare, because most people never fully accept uncertainty. They spend their entire trading career trying to eliminate risk instead of learning to live with it. They keep searching for certainty in a game that offers none. But you are beginning to understand that certainty was never the goal. Consistency was, and consistency comes from accepting what you cannot control while mastering what you can. You control your risk, you control your execution, you control your behavior. The outcome belongs to the market, and for the first time, you are truly at peace with that. Yet an even deeper transformation is still waiting ahead, because there is one final level, a level where fear no longer whispers in your ear, a level where wins and losses lose their emotional charge, a level where every trade feels exactly the same, and that is where true trading freedom begins. Level 5, every trade feels the same, and that is the victory. This is the level almost every trader dreams about, but very few ever reach. Not because it is complicated, not because it requires some secret strategy, but because reaching this level demands something most people are unwilling to surrender: their emotional attachment to outcomes. At level 5, the game changes completely. In fact, it becomes so simple that most traders struggle to believe it. You no longer wake up excited about winning trades. You no longer fear losing trades. You no longer feel a rush when the market moves in your favor, or panic when it moves against you. Every trade feels the same, and strangely enough, that is the greatest victory of all. Think about how far you've come. There was a time when every trade felt like a life or death decision. Every position carried emotional weight. Every candle on the chart had the power to affect your mood, your confidence, and even your self-worth. A winning trade could make your day. A losing trade could ruin your week. But now, none of that exists anymore, not because you stopped caring, but because you finally learn what truly matters. You understand that your job is not to predict. Your job is not to control outcomes. Your job is not even to win every trade. Your only job is to execute your edge with consistency. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. At this level, a winning trade is simply feedback. A losing trade is simply feedback. Neither one changes who you are. Neither one defines your future. Neither one controls your emotions. You have detached your identity from the outcome. And that changes everything. Let me tell you something that sounds strange to most traders. The best traders in the world are often the least excited traders in the world. They are calm, they are patient, they are emotionally neutral, they don't need action, They don't need excitement. They don't need validation. They simply follow their process over and over again, day after day, week after week, month after month. While others are chasing adrenaline, they are building consistency. While others are reacting emotionally, they're executing mechanically. This is the freedom Mark Douglas talked about. The freedom that comes when uncertainty no longer scares you. The freedom that comes when you fully trust yourself. The freedom that comes when there is no longer a battle inside your mind. Fear has lost its power. Greed has lost its power. Ego has lost its power. The market is no longer a place where you seek validation. It is simply an environment where probabilities play out over time. And because you understand that deeply, you are finally able to let the market do what it will do without emotional interference. Understand this. Level 5 is not perfection. You will still have losing trades. You will still experience drawdowns. You will still make occasional mistakes, but none of those things shake your foundation anymore, because your confidence no longer comes from outcomes. It comes from process. It comes from discipline. It comes from trust. And that is the ultimate lesson hidden behind every chart, every loss, every setback, and every victory. The trader who finally succeeds is not the one who conquers the market. The trader who finally succeeds is the one who conquers himself.